Yeah, so when you said to me, stop posting content, start posting results, my immediate like the immediate thought that I had when you said that is I'm not even what am I actually producing? Like what results am I actually meant to show people? Because like I think a lot of marketers there's a lot of there's a lot of fluff in what their actual output is, and I think it's been this kind of like age old journey for marketing companies to really demonstrate ROI. So when you said that to me, I felt kind of like inadequate. Like I was like, wow, what am I this he's totally right. And there was like a stream of period of time where there was a lot of arrogance in the way that people were producing content. It was like, do these three things or you are an imbecile.
I,
Do,
I feel like we
do
still
you,
have that now. Because now it's like, look at this, or look at me do this, or I'm cool. It's like it's all happy. Everything's happy. There's nothing. Nobody's real.
Well, I've noticed. See, one of the things I've noticed in your content that what you've evolved to is you you really actually started documenting your results in a way that I don't really see anybody else really doing, and that really inspired me because I was like, he's that's why you want to work with people when that because I was having a conversation with Oren earlier, and one of the things that was interesting. So recently, I've been following this guy. He works for what's it called? Retention.com. It's this company called retention.com.
Okay.
And basically, the premise is that he's got this. He's on this journey, right? So there's a story that you're like attracted to because he's on a journey. And one of the things that he was talking about is raising a company to 10 million ARR and only trying to do it with like five people. And he's documenting the journey towards 10 million ARR. I forget the guy's name. Oren, could you maybe you could have a look on LinkedIn. The guy's name is retention.com. I think he's like the CEO of the company. But like he's documenting their journey to 10 million ARR with five people. And even though that's not like necessarily like quote unquote results, it is kind of results in the way that it's the results so far. And
Yep.
that
Yeah,
that to me is
people love that.
interesting.
Like they love that journey. Like day one of, day two of, day three of. Like it also gives you a reason to follow too.
Yeah, it
Like
totally gives you yeah, because it worked with me because I definitely started following him. So yeah, just for reference to anyone who's watching this, the guy's name is what Adam Robinson. Adam Robinson. Yeah, so it was interesting. But you
there's
know,
another guy you probably like. He's a YouTuber. Is Daniel Dallin. Like he does a good job He's like he's in like Singapore and Dubai and stuff. He has like a couple software companies, I believe. Like he does a good job documenting everything too.
do you feel as though like that when because that's what I feel. In fact, you just articulated what I think you what you did. I mean, you even did it with like the hurricane thing. Like everyone's
Yeah.
friggin' house is like underwater, and here's fucking Ryan Magin, like, filming. Like this is what's going on live in St. Pete's. It's like it was so cool how you documented it, but it was also like I think the reason it really worked and it was authentic is because you had already been documenting your progress along the like just like your like what you've been doing in the transition of viral edits. It like you'd been documenting it. When did you have that shift? When did you say actually I should start doing this?
Well, I've always kind of done a form of it, but I guess the shift was like because when everybody says they're doing something, the only way to like believe them is to see it. So when I started trying to include more behind the scenes of like the clients that I was working with, and then starting to do like day in the life, and then starting to do, that led all the way to like, well, I don't know if I'll ever be in another situation where there's a Category 5 hurricane that I can document. So it was just those kind of principles of and I still think you can do it. I could do it more. Like I wish I could do a day in the life every day, but now I started, doing it, sporadically when it's like kind of a cool day per se. So it's like some interesting things to watch, which it's kind of against the philosophy that I've always kind of lived by, which was make the boring and mundane look cool in how you document it. Like I've been doing that for a long time, even like, right when we first, met and started chatting online, like through GoPro videos and my Instagram stories. So it was just like, how do I take something like riding my bike and make it look cool? And then I think that started for me back. I'm a big fan of Casey Neistat, and he was like, obviously a daily vlogger, but he didn't necessarily have an interesting life. I think it's funny because like you start by documenting boring things and making them look cool, and then if you do it long enough, you actually start living a life that's interesting, that does look cool. But then you're like, I don't really want to film it anymore because it's like it's just my life now. So it's like it's interesting, and then it takes some. But for me, it was just like with the hurricane. I thought it would be fun to do, and two, I was just like pissed off at hurricanes, and I was like, I want to exploit this hurricane because I've been exploited. I feel like from the last two hurricanes. So just like screw the hurricanes, and But it was like an operation. Like it took there was like four of us working 24 hours we posted 102 times in 24 hours to document it all. So it was quite a machine going that evening.
Do you feel as though the more that you have been doing this, the more that your brain and like your thought processes recognizes opportunities to leverage like that? Like, I mean, did you just like randomly, were you just like, oh, this is a good idea? Or were you like strategically thinking, wait, I can really leverage this?
Well, so the full story on that was the prior hurricane, which was like Hurricane Helene. That's when my house actually flooded, and that was the second time my house flooded because it flooded prior to that with Hurricane Idalia. And I was just kind of like with Hurricane Helene, they were calling for like 10 feet of storm surge, and I was like, man, I'm pretty sure my house is gonna flood, and I wonder what it would be like to just sit inside and like film the floodwaters come in and like take the house. But I kind of bitched out, and I was like, I could stay the night in the house, but it would have ended up me having to like swim out and climb on my roof and sit on my roof for like 6 hours. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't do that. But that was like so when the next hurricane like came, it's like I had another opportunity to like, ooh, I got like an apartment now. It's like in the perfect position to like really do this. Should I do this? And it was like I was kind of annoyed that I didn't get the footage from the other time of it flooding, and I was like, well, now's a good time as any. And I also knew that it would, there was a lot of like I was seeing the trends of like the Hurricane Milton content was like starting to take off. Like there was like a guy in Tampa who had one leg who was going viral because he refused to leave his boat. So I was like, okay, this guy's getting a lot of views right now. So if I just kind of come in on this thing that's already trending and I exploit it, and do an update every hour, it should work, theoretically. And it did. It was wild. Like it was, 30 million views in like 48 hours. And then but then they were just all gone. So it's just like, so it was like, it just, as fast as it came, it was gone. Like the views just stopped. So it was very interesting from that front. It was like, I guess that's truly, that's truly virality. So that was just interesting to kind of see from the like an analytical perspective of like I was posting a video and like it was just getting 100,000 views in like 5 minutes. Like it was just like holy shit, like thousands of comments and followers coming in and like and then it just stopped. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, like I also looked at it from a perspective of like how do I document this and what would make sense. Obviously, I wasn't trying to put myself in danger. Like my family was there, so it's like we're staying in a concrete apartment. We're on the 5th floor. There's no chance of flooding. Like there's nothing really could put us in danger other than we lose power. So I was like, okay. And then so I was like, well, how would I want to watch somebody do this? And I was like, well, if I did a video every hour, and then over the course of like the 24 hours, I kind of built little character arcs. Like I started talking about my Porsche being, on the ground level and it could flood. So like every other update, like I would mention my car. Oh, I hope it doesn't flood. So then like all night people were starting to like worry about my car, and that kept people coming back watching. And then the other one was, what else did I do? When I went in like the parking garage when it did start to flood, I was like, I went barefoot because I knew that would fucking drive everybody nuts. Because it's like but I knew that it was, the water was like 6 inches deep. I could see the ground. It was a full concrete parking garage. It was brand new. There was like no snakes or alligator. Like there was nothing that could, it was just me. But people flipped out on that in the comments. Like that was like, I knew that was going to happen. And then, people were started calling, me retarded for not moving my car to the second story. But it's like, there was no second story. Like it was a 1-story garage, so it was like, it was cool to kind of see like the little, things play out over the course of that. And that's kind of how, like, if you document stuff, you build like little character arcs and of things that people can latch onto. I mean, this could be like people in your videos, and then over time, it's like people start remembering that stuff.
How? What? We've never actually spoken about this in all of our conversations, but like, you know, like if you was to ask Oren about actors or directors or storytellers in Hollywood, he'd be like, look, you've either got it or you haven't. Like he really believes that like you're a talent or you're not. But like obviously I know that you're extremely talented, and ever since we very first started working together, I knew that to be the case. But how did you develop your sense of story? Because the things that you just mentioned there about having story arcs, like I think a lot of people that would be listening, a lot of people just struggle to like, even get in front of being on camera, let alone thinking about, oh my God, there's an opportunity to go viral with this like, once in a blue moon opportunity. And then even when you're in it, then think about, oh, the character arcs with like, the story arcs with the Porsche and all this, and the going into the garage with bare feet. How like do you like are you just a gifted storyteller? Where did you get this? How did you develop your, I guess you've obviously got talent, but how did you develop it, Ryan?
I mean, well, my dad, for the longest time, my dad's always been a videographer, and he does like aviation video. And he's always kind of ingrained in my head that it's like, it's all about the story. It's all about the story. And I never really knew what that meant until I started doing like, I mean, I knew what it meant. I understood it. But when it came to doing like videos for the internet, when I started doing like, I would make little GoPro, like I would do vlogs in my Instagram story. And back then it was like you had 15 seconds or so, or 10 seconds of slides. So like I would try to make them like 1 or 2 slides, but the idea was to pack as much in like 15 seconds. And it kind of goes back to like the Vine days of like you had 6-second videos. And I never really got the opportunity to make videos on Vine. I just ignored it, that whole chapter of Vine. Like I just didn't do anything. And then when Instagram stories came along, I was like, oh, you had like, 15 seconds. And I was like, wonder if you could tell a story or make something happen in 15 seconds. And I was like, okay, simplify it, break it down. It's like, well, what makes a complete story? It's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's like, and I mean, you can get obviously fancier with that, with like, there's a conflict and then a resolution and then it ends. But like, I was like, okay, if I'm going to film myself, going to the coffee shop and getting a coffee, there needs to be a way to tell the people that are watching what is happening. So that's your beginning, like parking car, coffee shop in front, walking in the coffee shop, open door. Okay, now we're in the coffee shop. So there's like, and then the middle of the coffee shop is like, what am I ordering? Okay, let's get a muffin and a iced coffee. And then you order it, then you get it. Now we have the coffee, and then the end would be, great coffee. So it's like beginning, even if something, so it's like at least that has like a beginning. Because if you stopped it when you just buy the coffee, I mean, yeah, people assume that you're going to drink it, but it's like, now it's official. We drink it. So I think having that over the course of, bigger structures, and you see it with like the good vloggers, like and people that like encapsulate, like Casey Neistat did this really well. There's a girl, Emma Chamberlain. She was like a early YouTuber. She did it really well. And it kind of goes past the, just the educational videos, because like you can tell a story, via like speaking with education. But, I just like, how do we make this thing have a reason for somebody to watch at the end? And anytime it doesn't have that like ending to it, people swipe away. So that was just kind of the, premise behind. And then I like force constraints too. I've just always been fascinated by stuff like that. So it's like, how much can I do in a given time frame? And that's why I think I always loved, like I loved TikTok a lot when I first started making videos there, because it at the time it was 15 seconds. So like I was like, okay. And then it was like 30 seconds, and then you went to a minute, and now you have up to like 30 minutes or something, but majority of the videos are like 1 minute long. So it's like you have 1 minute to get your whole point across or to make the world see. So it's like when it comes to documenting, it's just easy to, it's like a built-in character. It's a built-in story, because it's like, okay, day in the life of a guy who's doing a podcast, and like you wake up in the morning, you go to your place to do your podcast, you set up your equipment, you do the podcast, you stop the podcast, and then you tear everything down. There's like a whole, so it's like that, like when it comes to documenting, I think people kind of overcomplicate that too, but then it's like when you know that, it's like, okay, well, what's going to keep somebody watching for longer? And then it's like, okay, well, if we were using the coffee shop example, it's like, I forgot my wallet. Okay, shit, wallet's in the car. Got to run back outside. Did I leave it at home or is it in the car? Oh, I don't know. Okay, oh, there it is. It's in the car. Now we come back inside and we get it. And it's like even more of a resolution. Like, well, at least he got his coffee. So it's like when it came to, and then knowing what I know with the internet as far as how social media reacts, like especially short form, like Reels, TikToks, and, YouTube, it's like if you don't tend to make people angry and start commenting stuff, then it's very hard for the videos to get traction. So that was where like in most of the videos I started videos like I was smoking a cigar. I'm like, and so when you watched it, it was polarizing, because it's like this guy's in a hurricane and he's smoking a cigar. It's like that's odd, and then it's like, and then he's then he's like barefoot. So it adds to the kind of like I'm obviously appearing slightly reckless, which makes people on the other end who obviously drove away to safety and evacuated and were afraid to be there. And I'm just there going, just hanging out in the hurricane. Yeah.
Right.
It adds to a character of that and makes people watch longer. So, and I think, short form content and like internet content in general has kind of amplified that, like the people's characters and, what you have to do to get their attention and like hold it. But I mean, that's kind of my thought, but I did learn a lot of it, from my dad, and it was like kind of implementing, like you hear filmmakers and people talk about like story and like characters and conflicts and resolutions, and it's like, I think it's just, taking that, like, I mean, I'm sure Aaron, he comes from Hollywood, like every good movie has that, they always have the hero, the villain, like, like WWE has like the heel and like, stuff that creates tension so people keep watching. And I think, in an even extreme standpoint, it's like you have reality TV. It's like they're scripting reality TV, which is supposed to be in the moment, but it's not, to create, oh, these two people are going to fight this episode, but we're not going to show the resolution until the next episode. So now it's going to make people watch, longer. Like, I'm always fascinated by that. So I think if people just start paying attention to it, it's not something that like, I don't know if this sort of thing I think you can learn it, but yeah, I think people are better at recognizing it, for sure.
Do you? One of the things I've noticed, like when I look at some of the, like I'm following some of these younger kids, and there's a part of me that thinks to myself, are they learning a formula, or are they actually becoming better storytellers? And then what is the line? Because I don't know about you, but I've been so disenchanted with movie making recently. I mean, the story, the pure amount of like utter like crap that's available. And I get it, you've got all these multiple streaming platforms, and they've got to get content because they've got to keep their subscribers. But at the same time, it just feels like the art of story is no more. I mean, you do get once in a while, you get a nice movie, and it's normally some like abstract artistic movie or whatever. But I do wonder. I'm like, are these younger? Is the Generation Z? Are they learning a formula, or are they actually learning how to tell great story?
I think everybody starts with like the formula, but then it like but yeah, to kind of preface, it's like, when you look at movies, like Gen Z isn't even really enjoying movies. Like that, the movies aren't like TV to them. Like I think culturally everything's kind of shifted, because I mean, you think about it with with Hollywood productions and things. Like I look at like Iron Man. It's like I saw it in the theater. I was like waiting for that movie to launch. And then it was like Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 4. Like, you want to keep it going. Then you watch the Avengers, and it's like, then you watch all of them. Like, I feel like now people, like, we've lost the ability to kind of wait and appreciate, like, the time it takes to make a movie because of YouTube and how fast it is. So people are formulating their own, stories and movies per se with, like, their their day-to-day life. And even younger kids, like, you have like like family vloggers, and like follow along with me when I open my toys, so it's like, I think they're being ingrained to watch complete things, but it's like condensed, and it's like it's happening very early on. And I think the newer, younger culture doesn't appreciate, like I get bummed when I see movie theaters going out of business. I'm like, oh, like, that sucks. Like, I just, because it used to be an event, but now it's like, why does it take so long? Like, when, Casey Neistat can make a video every day, why does it take Marvel 5 years to make a new movie? Would you rather them take 5 years, or would you rather, like, they just show every day of making the movie as a movie?
Wow, that's an interesting thought. Yeah.
So it's like, then you would see the finished product. So you could watch it the whole time.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Recently my son is 4 years old now, so he's been I really, he's of an age where we watched E.T. the other day, we watched Flight of the Navigator, we watched Harry and the Hendersons, and just going back and looking at those movies in the 80s, I mean, they're so wholesome. They're so wholesome. Like, the neighborhoods are wholesome, the people are wholesome. The stories are really good. They're simple. Everyone has character arcs. The scripts are good. They're good scripts, good stories. And and then weirdly, we actually watched. He's been asking to watch Batman, and he's a little bit young, so I was a little bit hesitant to show him the Nolan series, like Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to show him The Dark Knight Rises. We'll see, but
It's a lot for a 4-year-old.
it's a little bit much. But what's interesting to me is that I feel as though there's, and there's, I think in society we're diluting contrast, and when you dilute contrast, you don't have characters. Like, you don't have the characters that need to exist in story for there to actually be something riveting to watch, whether it's like, the hero or the anti-hero. And I just wonder, like, if this new generation is being fed a bunch of really unrealistic bullshit about what actually does happen in life, and then curating stories based on formula, are we just getting the same story from the same source and not really supporting, like, original story creation?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that 100% is happening. But I mean, to kind of bring it back to your original question, like there was are you familiar with Ty Lopez?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, I use him because I obviously, I think people start making videos and content now. Like, it's a given. You have to make videos, or you have to be online to make money, like, or to market your business. And, like, I think we have that, and then even, like, the younger kids in the generation are like, if I make videos, I can make a living on YouTube. That's like, it's like almost like expected now that's a path that people should take. And when I looked at, like, because Ty Lopez was very early on, he had, like, the famous ad Here in My Garage. And at first that ad came out, and he looked like every other direct response, ad guy. It was like, oh, what's this guy selling me? He rented his Lamborghini. Why would he have a bookshelf in his garage? He's not living in that mansion. It's all a scam. But then I was like, well, and then Ty was an early adopter of Instagram stories. And he, every single day, well, he would film a video in that same garage, and you would see the Lamborghini. And then he would pull up to his house, and he would live in Hollywood Hills, and he would do all these things. And, like, so the longer you watch Ty, the longer you knew that he wasn't full of shit because he was actually living what he was talking about. And then eventually those comments stopped. His car wasn't rented. He owns the car. That is his house. Like, and I think that that's kind of the core of like when you, like if you actually are good at documenting something, like in this case it'd be like somebody's life, or like in your friend's, like the guy that you're watching, his business with 5 people. It's hard, like it's so much social proof ingrained, because it's like, well, if you go back and watch all my videos, you'll see that, well, the team grew, the business grew, the revenue grew, the stories grew, and it's like people kind of grow along with people, and I think that that's like the new way of like movies per se, because people want to see that, like kind of coming back to like, you know, Hollywood is like gatekeep things for so long, like, you know, and it's like, well, who's going to be the new star of the movie? If you only have like 10 Marvel movies, then there's only 10 people that could be the star in, or, you know, 20 people in the Marvel movies. Now it's like, I mean, somebody could copy the concept of Iron Man, but not wait for Hollywood and go make their own YouTube video that's 2 hours long. And they might be able to do it in 6 months or 2 months. Like, I don't know how long that stuff takes, you know, and then release it and then do it as a series and completely, I think it's just opened up, it's leveled the playing field for like, if you want to build it, there's a place for everybody to build things now. You know, right. You don't have to wait for anybody.
I was at an event on Wednesday night, just in Venice, and it was an event where we were going to basically pitch a bunch of ideas for, you know, we're building a number of different AI tools for, you know, automating video production and you know, really transforming more top of funnel awareness. And, you know, there was like, I was one of like, I don't know, 7 or 8, maybe 10 speakers. And after everybody had presented, there was a kind of like an open forum, I suppose, for like a discussion forum. And one of the questions was, have you seen the new Coca-Cola commercial? And because it's completely AI generated.
Holidays are coming, holidays are coming, holidays are coming, holidays are coming. 'Tis the season, watch out, look around, something's coming, coming to town, in your town, something magical in the night. Can you see it shining bright? Always Coca-Cola, holidays refreshments, what we bring. 'Tis the season, it's always a real thing.
Holidays are coming. Oh, have you seen it yet?
Holidays are coming, 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 holidays are coming.
What was really cool about it, and, you know, when we think about creating, you know, maybe in my world a little bit more, you know, the main difference, I think, what I'm so inspired by what you're doing, Ryan, is you're turning individuals into influencers. And what I'm trying to do is turn masses of people into, you know, not influencers, but perhaps like authorities, you know, in some respects.
Yes.
But what Coca-Cola had done is they created this like commercial, and then there's one part in the commercial where there's like a scene in a city, and, you know, whereas back in the day you would have had to go out and shoot all those cities, and God knows how much that would have cost. Now they're just replicating it with AI, so you've got multiple markets that can be served by this one video, completely scaling the video production via AI. And now you have this unbelievable commercial that is completely on brand, totally scalable, and I don't think it probably costs that much. And the whole time I was watching the commercial, the thing that I was thinking about, and I was observing all of the people that were presenting, and some of them had like really quite, they're cool things, but you're like, that's kind of a gimmick. But then some of them were like, whoa, that's actually really cool, because if you can do that, you by yourself can make this like little AI video. What happens when you get like 10 guys in the room like you that know about story, and that this guy that's like an AI expert, and then you give them like $1 million, then
Yep.
what can you actually produce? And to your point, like when I think about all those crazy the crazy Avengers movies and the DC movies and everything, like when are the days going to end of like 100 million, $150 million budgets, and it's like, yeah, we just made this movie for 10 million and it grossed $1 billion. Like, I think that's going to happen in the next couple of years.
I would agree. I mean, I think it's already happening. I mean, you're seeing it. I would think there's going to be like a shift. Like, I still think people will hold on to the old. There's like that group of people that, and I don't know, it'll be very hard to compete, you know, for just like the exact reason that you said. I mean, because you think about like a car scene in a movie, they would have to pay to shut down all the streets. They would have to pay to like, to clean up, you know, to clean up the streets after they go through it. But it's like, you can do all that with like AI now, and you save all that money. But I just always worry, I'm like on the other end of the spectrum, is it going to be as cool? Like, if you don't, are the noises going to be perfect? You know, are the sounds going to be perfect? Like, I don't know. I think there's a ton of opportunity, but I think film companies, and like, you know, AI is forcing people to be able to create faster. But it's like, I don't know. This is where I fall like I've always been inspired by like Casey Neistat, because it was always like that handmade feel, you know. And then also another like big, what is it? He was like, he recently passed away. He died in a car accident, or no, a snowmobile accident. Damn, why can't I remember the name? Is escaping me. I watched his whole. Let me look it up really quick.
Yeah.
They have an Amazon show. Damn it, why can't I remember his name? It's not Rob Dyrdek. He was the other. Not Rob Dyrdek. Why is it escaping me right now? I'm like a huge fan. Hang on, I will find it. But they did like a 4-part Amazon.
It's the
Prime
pressure.
series.
It's the pressure, dude. There's big pressure right now.
Yeah,
It's like,
big
you got
pressure.
the pressure. Yeah. A couple of podcasts ago, we had this guy on, Gil Rife, and he was a comedy writer on the Ellen Show, and he you know, he had this he has this approach. It's like performance under pressure. So if anyone's watching, go watch that podcast, because Ryan's under serious performance pressure
Yep,
right now.
I figured it out. I used Google Help me.
Okay.
Ken Block. Ken Block is his name.
Oh yeah, Ken Block. Yeah,
So,
of course.
So I don't know why that's hitting me. I'm like a huge fan of what he's done.
Yeah.
But he was like one of the part owners of DC with Rob Dyrdek, and they sold it.
Yeah.
And he started making Gymkhana. He started the whole Gymkhana YouTube series, and it was taking like basically what you would see in car Hollywood type productions and putting them into YouTube videos. And they did like a 4-part Amazon Prime series about the behind the scenes of filming it, and like that, I'm pretty sure that got way more views than each of the individual Gymkhana videos, which already crushed. But it was like seeing what they had to do, like, you know, when with AI not being an option, of like to get certain shots they had to pay, and they would have like 35 minutes to shut down the street because that's all they could afford for their budget.
Wow.
And he'd have to hit this like perfect figure 8, and then they would have 1 more hour to come in, and they'd have to have people there to clean up the street and get all the rubber and shit off the street.
Oh my
to be able to open it back up. And he got charged for all of that. And it's like to get the videos, and they were investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into these individual YouTube videos. It's like,
Wow.
I mean, and then you have like on spectrum of like, you have like a Mr. Beast who's spending millions on a YouTube video, but not more from, I guess he's more game show-esque, you know, Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Gymkhana videos were like, I would call them like car Hollywood productions in YouTube videos, and there was like one a year. So even by doing it more independently like that, he was able to put out more than like Hollywood could, you know, because they're, you know, you think of like something like a Fast and the Furious. Like, I mean, there was a bunch of them. I think there's an unnecessary amount of Fast and the Furious, but like there was like the same amount of Gymkhanas as there were Fast and Furious, and the Gymkhanas came out over 10 years, one every year. And the Fast and Furious took longer, and the Gymkhana, and then there was like the Prime series. So it's like, this is interesting to see how like that is going to evolve, you know, especially with AI, you know, because but a lot of that shit you can't do with AI. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe I'm like I'm an old soul on that one.
Well, no, I think you're right. I mean, I was having this conversation not so long ago about like I don't know if you've ever seen the how they made like some of the Beatles movies in Abbey Road in the '60s. I mean, like the level of first of all the barrier of entry. Like Elvis wasn't getting that record deal if he wasn't unbelievable. The Beatles are not getting into Abbey Road if they're not unbelievable. And like some of the artists, the way that they put, you mentioned like the sounds. I mean, you've got people that are like, I mean, there's an Academy Award for sound design,
Yeah.
So and then when you I think when you start really fragmenting all the things that are a part of story, whether it's the initial script, whether it's the sound, whether it's the cinematography, the direction, whatever it is, when you start kind of democratizing it all and making it available for everybody, and giving them tools to really, well, let's just be honest, make up for their inadequacies with talent, right? Because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
What is the end product? It's like you used to make this amazing burger, and then all of a sudden you've made it gluten free, and you've made it beyond meat, and you've made it like then you don't have a tasty burger at the end of it. You have like some cardboard burger or whatever it is.
Yep. You have a fake burger.
You have a fake burger. So I just in our viewership, I think one of the things when they look at somebody like you and they see, you're like this guy that's like always creating this cool content, and I know you create content for a bunch of people. Like I saw you were doing some stuff with Elena Cardone not so long ago, and I know you do stuff with Grant and all these. You've done stuff for what Jordan Peterson and a bunch of other people, Ryan Pineda and all these people. I think a lot of times when people look at that, including myself, like I look at that and I'm like, shit, my life is not nearly as interesting as these people. Like I'm not getting on a jet, or I don't have my show, and I don't have all these different things. And I think that a lot of times people can look at that and compare themselves. And when they compare themselves, they feel like really inadequate, and that's not good. And then, of course, then you don't want to show up with your story. Like you say, it could be boring. What would you say to somebody who, is in some of the, let's just say, not so appealing industries? Maybe like they're in car sales, or like they're in mortgage, or they're in real estate, or they're in financial services. And you kind of know, Ryan, a little bit about the regulations that people have in those areas as well. What would you say to them if they were to say, look, I don't know what to do next. Like, yeah, I've got this content that positions me as a mortgage expert, but that's not really getting me followers. Like, how do I get people that actually want to know me, like me, trust me?
I think it's just showing all the normal stuff that they probably find boring. And then I think it's like twofold. It's like you have to show all the cool stuff you do when you do the cool stuff, because that gives context to like why they should care about your boring stuff. Because I mean, you look at somebody like a Cardone or a Pineda, or like a higher level person now, and it's like, yeah, you know what kind of content they're going to put out, but you'd rather see the stuff they don't talk about. Like, what do they order? What do they buy at the gas station? What do they eat for breakfast every day? You want to see the boring stuff, because now it's like they have this context of this person. Of like, oh, well, I want to know what Grant Cardone, what is his McDonald's order if he were to get drunk? What is he going to eat? And then, so you have to like, you need both sides of the coin. So it's like, for like, I mean, obviously I have context on what you guys do and who you work with, but it's like, you need all that authoritative type of content, to establish yourself, because that stuff does make you money, and it does make, establish you as credible in like your niche. But at the same point, it's like, you need double, if not triple, the amount of like your everyday content of like documenting your life, talking to your friends, like giving advice to your kids, like all of that stuff makes you such like a more encapsulated complete person, because and there's like two schools of thought. There's like the people that make content because like, I am this and I'm trying to sell this, and I made a content about this to sell it. And that's where, like, I'm a realtor. I sell houses. I buy and sell houses. I'm going to make content about buying and selling houses. But the reality is nobody that is, the people that are trying to buy and sell houses are not watching videos about buying and selling houses. They just find a realtor that they know, and is probably a friend of theirs, or they come recommended, and then they buy a house. So the only people that are watching videos about buying and selling houses are other realtors So it's like your competition is watching you.
Right.
Like
Right.
so the content you need to be making in that situation is the stuff that, well, what are your customers watching? Well, they're watching, the Mike Tyson and Logan Paul fight. They're watching videos about Rolex watches. They're watching videos about Ken Block. They're watching videos about football and baseball. They're watching videos about parenting advice because they're trying to be a better dad or mom. They're watching videos about how not to fight with your girlfriend or wife. Like, so most people are stuck in the mode of they're just making content for their competitors or content for the people that'll never buy their product or service anyways. So it's like, they're making content for their product. And then using the realtor as an example, they're making content to buy and sell a house. And it's like, well, no, you need to make content for the people that are going to buy that house. And that's just the broad appeal stuff. This is what everybody's into. And it falls into like basic, when I started marketing on the internet, because I've been making money online for over 10 years, is, it's health, wealth, relationship, and finance. If you make products or sell products in those industries, you'll never go broke, because everybody's always going to need money. Everybody's always going to need help with their relationships. Everybody's going to always need to know what to do with their money if they do make it and how to keep it. And then if you just look around, everybody's getting pretty fat. So they're always going to need health advice. Right. So like if you made your real estate content and then make content about all that other stuff, that's how you reach people.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that there was a shift when you were doing that a lot, where I saw you testing lots of different kind of areas where you were interviewing people and asking them random things. And yeah, I definitely saw you implementing that. I think one of I think the thing that I've noticed, so we've served over 13,000 people, and we've made this is insane, but we've made over 1.5 million pieces of content, and I know it's really crazy. And one of the things I've learned about just generally people when they come into, like, most people don't want to make content. Like they have no interest in, like, if they could just have it done for them and it was like doing it, then they would be fine with it, And so it is a stretch to get people to get outside of the box. And one of the things that I've taken away from this chat with you today, Ryan, is like, I really feel like it's important to foster a community of storytelling. Because when you kind of understand some of the like storytelling blocks that you just mentioned, like the arc, even just something like a beginning, middle, and an end, like character, all those type of things, all of a sudden there's a framework for people to operate in, where they could say, well, actually, I could probably have a go at doing that myself. One thing there was this little anecdotal story. There's these two guys they're in our program at the moment. And they're 67 and 79 years old. And I'm not going to tell their names just in case they're watching. But they have a goal of reaching a certain revenue mark. And when I looked at the revenue mark, I said to them, guys, you could do this in the next 30 days. You don't need to do this over the next year. You can make this revenue in 30 days. There's no question. And I just said to them, I said, just document you making $5 million in 30 days, and go and ask people, just go and ask people, like, hey, we're older, we've never used social media before, and we need to recruit as many people as possible to help us make $5 million in the next 30 days, and just go and make a video every day and just see what happens. They're doing it. I was like, wow, they're doing it. This is great. Like, they actually listened to me. It was pretty cool.
No, that's not. Well, then that's a great. I mean, most people struggle with, like, well, what do I make videos about? Oh, and then they also struggle with, this video has to make money. Like, I have to make money from this video, and I think that's underlying that is where a lot of people in your industry that are they're failing. I mean, most small business owners fail on this front. It's like they're like, well, if I make that video, how much money is it going to make me? It's it's really hard to put a ROI on relevance. Like, that's, it's like, I don't know, you could not make videos, but then everybody's going to forget about your coffee shop, or you could make videos and your videos get millions of views every month from people locally and all over the world, and they learn about your coffee. How much is a million eyeballs worth? I was like, that would probably shut your coffee shop down if a million people walked in the front door. Like, you'd have to call the fire marshal. You couldn't serve coffee. So that's how powerful that is. Like, you know, like, you know, so it's like, I think people just, they, like, you know, the couple that you were talking about, like, just by them documenting what they were doing, it was already interesting. It's like day one of trying to make $5 million in 30 days. It's like, I'd watch that. Day two of trying to make, so it's like, and it gives like that nature of like, there's each individual episode, which is like a video that has, you know, a beginning, middle, end. And then the overarching thing has a beginning, a middle, and an end because it's only 30 days long, because that's what a month is. You know, and you can keep extending it. Month two of trying to make $5 million in 30 days. So you don't even have to finish it.
Year 20.
That's why I joke, because I always, I mean, you know, I have certain people that have given me some very powerful NDAs, and I was like, I wonder if they would actually sue me if I was like, day one of getting sued by, insert their name.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
You know, here's what it's like to, you know, day two of getting sued by, insert their name. Today I'm taking my daughter to her 7th grade dance. You know, so it's like, you know, it's,
right.
There's so much you could do with that. Like, it's so powerful.
Yeah. It's really the falling in love with story, and never forgetting that, you know, even though there's AI and there's all these amazing platforms and there's faceless YouTube videos and there's all these things, we're still human, and on some level we still want to gather around the campfire and we want to be kind of told like really good stories, and I think that's a big takeaway.
100%.
Right, I could talk to you about this for hours. I know that you've got short time today, so really appreciate you jumping on and just sharing some of your history and your story. Just one thing I'd like to ask just before we go. Is there one person, one book, or one quote, comment that's really shifted the way that you approach your work recently? And if so, what would it be?
I have I have 2 books that I keep buying over and over again. So I think that would probably fit the. And I don't always read them. I just keep buying new copies of them. I don't know. I'm guilty of that. I do that with books. But I've read them many of times. I just like, first book is Dan Kennedy's Wealth Attraction and the New Economy. And Dan Kennedy's an old school marketer. Like, that book by far for like mindset and framework. I reread it probably once a year. I have it like on Amazon in like multiple physical copies. Well, I used to have multiple physical copies. They went away in a hurricane. But so I got to order another one. So, but also, and then there's a copywriting book that I think that as my business has progressed, and like, you know, short form video as a whole, which is what my company does, is very saturated. I'm finding that story and good copywriting skills is like standing apart. So there's a book that's called John Carlton's Kick-Ass Copywriting Secrets of a Marketing Rebel. I know, a very long title. I think it's like a $99 book. It's like a physical book. They also sell it as an ebook, but I love the physical book. It's like the best copywriting book that I've ever read on like, and how to write persuasively. And then writing and video are the same thing, because you're just speaking persuasively. And I think that is a skill set that, you know, good mindset on like making money and being okay with making money, plus knowing how to speak and communicate better, I think is huge for success. And I find myself revisiting that quite often.
Beautiful. And the name of the last book once again?
Yeah, it's John Carlton's Kick-Ass Copywriting Secrets of a Marketing Rebel. Like, okay. And I swear the site looks kind of scammy, but it's not. I've ordered it multiple times.
What's up with that? I find like the scammier the website, the more money they make. It's so weird.
He's like the full-on direct response guy, you know? Like, you're gonna, you know, there's upsells, there's order bumps. It's like the whole thing. Like, so I think it's great, because I know Gen Z will never buy that book because they think the guy's a scam. So it's like, you know, it gives us more leverage, because I'm like, well, I mean, what's the worst I'm gonna lose? $90, whatever. Yeah. Like, you know, so.
I'll do it. All right. Right. Thank you so much. And right, just a little plug to your company as well. Can you give us just where would people go to find out about your company?
Yeah, my Instagram is like home for me. It's just my name, Ryan Magin. My company is called Viral Edits, and we edit short form videos. We help people go viral, specifically personal brands and, you know, businesses to, you know, and people with products. You won't find a website for viral edits because I never made one, and it's like a black card. So it's like very referral based, and it's really hard for us to start working with somebody because we have a stacked client list. So I sell a lot of other stuff on my Instagram and do workshops and in studio stuff.
Awesome. All right. Right. Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, take it easy, Daniel.
Take care, buddy.